Okay, picture this. It's 1922. The famous Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung decides to build a small rustic stone castle with 4 towers right on the edge of a lake in Bollingen. Why? Because he literally had to retreat there just to escape the overwhelming chaos of city life. And think about it, he didn't even have a smartphone pinging him every 5 minutes, no push notifications flashing on a screen, and definitely no one demanding an immediate response on a work chat app. Now contrast his tranquil, isolated stone tower with your reality today as a modern worker. You know the feeling, frantically jumping between browser tabs, unread emails, and back-to-back meetings.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are summarizing Cal Newport's phenomenal book, Deep Work. Because here's the thing, in a world that is absolutely overflowing with shallow distractions, the ability to focus without interruption isn't just a nice little habit to have, it's a literal superpower. It's pretty much the ultimate survival tool for anyone trying to actually thrive in the 21st century.
But listen, before we get into the solution, I've got to break the fourth wall here and ask you directly. Are you drowning in the shallows? Be completely honest with yourself. Do you feel trapped by this culture of constant connectivity, always responding to threads, checking feeds, and maybe confusing mere busy work with actual meaningful progress? Well, Cal Newport defines our way out of this trap like this. Deep work means professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their absolute limit. Staying in the shallow end of the pool, that's comfortable. It requires almost zero mental heavy lifting. But choosing to go deep, that requires some serious effort. And it's exactly what opens the doors to incredible success. Section 1. Winning the New Economy and what's known as the Great Restructuring. Let's look at why this matters so much right now.
So we're currently living through what Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee call the Great Restructuring. Technology is advancing at a blistering speed, and ordinary, run-of-the-mill skills are just falling behind. Employers are increasingly looking to intelligent machines to do the heavy lifting. But certain groups are poised to win big here. We're talking about high-skill workers like the statistician Nate Silver, who use complex machines to achieve incredible goals, and superstars like top-tier programmer David Hansen, who can basically be hired from anywhere in the world. If you aren't in these categories, you really run the risk of being easily replaced.
So how do you actually get there? To become a high-skill worker or a superstar, you need two very specific abilities. Number one, you have to quickly master hard things. You've got to be constantly learning as technology changes. And number two, you have to actually produce at an elite level. Newport argues that developing these two core abilities is absolutely impossible without mastering the foundational skill of deep work. Section 2. The Trap of Shallow Work. Let's look at what's actively holding us back from this. We live in a highly paradoxical workplace. Just think about recent business trends. You have massive companies like Facebook championing the open office concept where anyone can interrupt anyone. We rely entirely on instant messaging to communicate. And prestigious organizations like the New York Times actually encourage their staff to maintain a constant social media presence on Twitter. The irony here is just incredibly thick. Organizations desperately need effective workers, yet they actively promote a culture of constant connectivity that completely destroys our ability to concentrate deeply. And this brilliantly illustrates why we fall into that trap. It's the principle of least resistance. When faced with a choice, we just naturally act in the way that is easiest at that exact moment. Because knowledge work today often lacks clear indicators of productivity, we basically suffer from job ambiguity. So we default to an old industrial age mindset. We want to look busy. We send rapid-fire emails. We schedule unnecessary meetings. And we do all these highly visible, shallow tasks simply to save ourselves from the short-term discomfort of actual heavy concentration. Section 3. Rule number 1, work deeply and choose your philosophy. You can't just hope for deep work to happen. You have to intentionally schedule it. And Newport outlines 4 different philosophies to do this based on your specific circumstances. First is the monastic approach. Think of sci-fi author Neil Stephenson, who completely eliminates shallow distractions to protect his writing time. Second is bimodal, kind of like Carl Jung at his stone retreat. This means dedicating at least one full day exclusively to depth and leaving the rest for shallow work. Third is rhythmic, which was famously used by Jerry Seinfeld. He wrote jokes every single day to build a habit chain on his calendar. And finally, the journalistic approach, used by Walter Isaacson. This is where you quickly switch into deep mode the absolute second you have free time. It's like a giant puzzle. You just have to find the piece that fits your life. Okay, I want you to be totally honest with me for a second. Think about standing in line at the grocery store, or maybe you're sitting in a conference room waiting for a meeting to start. What is the absolute first thing you do when you feel even a slight hint of boredom?
You whip out your smartphone, right? Which brings us perfectly to section 4. Rule number 2, embrace the boredom. Constantly multitasking and giving in to that distraction literally turns us into mental wrecks who can't filter out irrelevancy. A lot of people try to fix this with an internet Sabbath, taking one whole day off tech. But Newport says that fails for the exact same reason that eating a junk food diet all week and then having one salad on Friday fails. It doesn't undo the damage. Instead of taking breaks from distraction, you actually need to schedule breaks from focus. Study intensely like Teddy Roosevelt did back in college, and try practicing productive meditation. That's where you use physical time, like going for a walk or driving your commute, to focus exclusively on solving a single professional problem in your head. Section 5. Rule number 3. Quit social media. Yep, we are tackling the elephant in the room right now. When Newport challenged people about their social media use, the #1 defense he heard was that it provides entertainment. But he points out that we use an any-benefit approach. We justify keeping an app around just because it provides literally any minor random benefit. Instead, he says we should adopt the craftsman approach. A true craftsman only selects tools that actually have a massive positive impact on their specific professional and personal goals. You've really got to apply the law of the vital few to your internet habits. That's the 80-20 rule. Ask yourself if a digital tool actually supports the 20% of activities that drive 80% of your success. Newport even suggests a 30-day social media fast. Just quit Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for a whole month. At the end of it, ask yourself 2 things. Was my life actually better? And did anyone even notice I was gone? If the answer is yes and no, drop the tool completely. Stop degrading your valuable, hard-earned leisure time with lowbrow, distracted clicks. Section 6. Rule number 4. Drain the shallows. Here's a fascinating fact. Our cognitive capacity for deep work actually maxes out at about 1 to 4 hours daily. That's it. So we have to meticulously manage all those inevitable shallow time drains, and we do this through 3 steps. Step 1. Schedule every single minute of your workday in blocks. This isn't about restricting yourself, it is about actively claiming your concentration. Step 2. Quantify the depth of a task by asking, how much time would an untrained grad student need to do this? If the answer is a lot of time, then it's deep work. And step 3, set a strict cutoff time for your day. Newport advocates finishing your work by 5:30 p.m. sharp. Setting a hard stop is incredibly powerful. When you know your time is strictly limited, it actually forces you to use those hours far more productively to hit your deadlines. It effectively prevents Parkinson's law, which is that trap where your work just magically expands to fill whatever time you allot for it. Science writer Winifred Gallagher and psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi have both shown that true happiness and those amazing states of flow come from deep focus. They do not come from unstructured relaxation or shallow clicks on a screen. As Newport perfectly summarizes, a workday driven by the shallow is likely to be a draining and upsetting day. Extracting real meaning from your work requires the dedicated focus of a craftsman.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. The absolute superpower of the new economy is sitting right there, just waiting for you to claim it. It requires willpower, for sure, and it requires you to actively fight back against the warm comfort of the shallows. But the reward? The reward is absolute elite-level production and a profound sense of deep personal satisfaction. So my final question to you is this. How will you escape the pinging chaos of the modern world, and how will you build your own stone tower?